Hey folks, Rob here with a bit of a quick, I guess, vlog-ish thing. I don't really normally do these, but I thought this one was kind of a little more interesting and worth doing. So basically just want to talk about two things. The first is the documentary From Bedrooms to Billions. I backed it when it was on Kickstarter 2 years ago, I think. I have to check that. But they finally released the digital cuts over the weekend, and I watched it, was pretty blown away. I definitely had been looking forward to a while. It covers being that's focused on the British industry, and what came out of the UK from that time means a great deal to me, as you ought to see. Vast majority of games I'm doing gameplays of are from the UK from that era, and as that, it really means that it's sort of stuff that I grew up with. Its background, and it's informed, some probably my own taste is what I've been trying to do with my own indie game work, as much progress I made there. But because of that, coming from background of 64 or other machines, the Spectrum, the BBC stuff, the Amstrads, or even the Amiga and ST, that sort of influence from it really mattered. It was, really mattered a lot to me, and it was a really enjoyable film on that front. I love the style of going, conversations with individuals, and not just, and while they were big names, but it was, from all sort of sectors. You had your programmers, you had your designers, you had sound guys. Granted, most of those tended to be C64 ones, but that made me happy. But along with, publishers, representatives of publishers, fairly big names from like Ocean and US Gold, and some of the other ones, and then you've also got journalists. I remember seeing a few of those names in there, along with clippings and game footage and all of that. Really helps sort of drag that story along from, how it rose, the early stuff, especially on like the ZX81, to, the transition to 16-bit, to the arrival of consoles, and what happened after that. It was a really great atmosphere, and a really interesting story. I knew bits and pieces, a lot of the major beats, at least in relation to certain developers, but seeing that sort of wider progression and the wider patterns, I thought was very interesting, especially, a lot of parallels with what's been going on recently in the last few years for the rise of a lot of indie teams. Something I personally didn't like so much was, it was minor, and I'm probably just being a bit fickle about it, but, when new interviewees were coming up on screen, they get the little text telling, who they were, what company they were a part of back in the day, and, their role. And what was annoying was, some people you'd see it, pretty much every appearance. I don't think you need to do it after a while. Some people that didn't come up to like a later appearance, they might only appeared a couple of times, and it appeared once or twice, and it was just a little annoying. It's a minor thing, and it's like, oh, who's that? Oh, it's them. Something like that. But all in all, I freaking loved it. I'm completely happy having backed them when I did, and I'm glad I got to watch it. I can't wait to get my physical copy in the mail. I sat down and just, they had, at the moment streaming or downloading, I just downloaded the 1080 version and had that on my second monitor with some headphones on, and it was a great experience. It is long. It is 2.5 hours long. That may or may not be something you can take, but I took a break to grab, a drink in the middle of it, and I thought and the time went by. I got home, so I was out on Saturday, got home Saturday night and watched it, and completely worth it. So totally recommend you watch it if you have any interest in that stuff, which, watching this channel, I would probably expect you'd have some. So that's for that. Now the second thing I really wanted to talk about is just something that's been going through my head about what I do video-wise, right? So the goal I've always had is to sort of do, try to do a decent play of it. I personally try to do some of my plays where you actually see how the game works, right? There are people who are great at doing blind plays. I'm not one of them. I'm not spontaneous enough with my humor. Even when my humor is a little more drier, I guess, I can't, not as much sarcasm and things like that. So I try not to do that. I try to focus on actually playing the game properly, even if I'm terrible at it. So at least you get an idea of how the thing works and what the idea is, and, what I thought and what it fits in on a larger scale. And part of it, if you saw my update news vid from, I guess it would have been last week now, for September, where I showed that I got a hold of Space Rogue, which is an amazing, RPG space combat game. And think about when I eventually want to do a video of that. Do I just want to do a video that is me playing it for like 10 minutes and not really getting into it? It's the kind of game that really feels like a long play would be worth it. But the question is, in wanting to do that, is really about editing constraints. I mean, if I sit down and do those, I would want to do them properly, and I'd want to do it alongside, the normal videos I do. But, pardon me. But if I do that, it gets the question of, is it worth doing that? Would people still actually enjoy those? Pardon me again. Are they actually worth doing? Would people watch it? Like, I see right now, I shouldn't be looking at stats, but I do. And it seems like it's a fairly small percentage of my subscriber base that actually are watching and commenting. And that's perfectly fine. But, I guess in some regards that I want to push myself further in what I do video-wise. And I guess I wonder whether that's just a side hobby expression thing or what, I don't know. But I've been loving it because it's been a good way for me to actually try and play more games. So I want to do some of those. Like, again, Space Rogue would be one I'd want to disassemble. I've got another game that I will show eventually at the end of this month, which will probably into next month because of everything I said, with PAX coming up. PAX Australia, that is. And all of that sort of editing, I've been told a few times that I should consider a Patreon for this stuff, and I wonder how much that's going to offend people, where it's like, if I were to use that, I might keep some current stuff I'm working on, maybe part-time, because then I might be able to say, well, I've got at least a bit coming in that I can use to justify a day a week to work on a larger play or something. I don't know. Kind of interested in hearing your thoughts. It's not really a video response thing, just leave some comments, but I am kind of interested to hear what you think. As usual, I've got video coming up at the end, later in the week, and well, I should get around to recording, building a bit more of a backlog for the end of the month. But as usual, that goes on as normal. Thanks for watching. Thanks for leaving some thoughts. As usual, I do my gameplays every week. Leave one. Usually, as ever, subscribe for more of those. And failing that, I'll catch you next time.